Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Mario Cristobal, the Miami Hurricanes taking care of business at home against Florida A&M. I don't think that is all too surprising for a lot of Miami Hurricane fans, but these are the kind of games that, at least personally for me, I find so exciting because you get a little bit of a glimpse of what the depth looks like for this Miami Hurricanes team. But I think more importantly, some of the young talent. And we cover this team so much on the recruiting trail in the summer months. Now we get a chance to see what some of these kids look like when they step on the college football field. Want to take a look at a couple of different things that I noticed on the rewatch for this Miami Hurricanes program. Also want to talk about the identity and structure of this Miami Hurricanes offense, which I think is a little bit different than a lot of us expected. I mean, they are going to use Cam Ward a lot in this offense. And I think going into the 2024 season, a lot of us assumed that this would be a very run centered offense, which I want to kind of give you guys some of my thoughts and opinions on why we're seeing what we're seeing from this Miami Hurricanes offense. Now, before we do, and as always, one, to the Miami Hurricane fans, the amount of support y'all continue to show. This is why we're talking Florida A&M Miami. I love talking this team. The amount of support y'all continue to show, it means the absolute world. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, would love to hear two different things. One, your thoughts, opinions on this Miami Hurricanes offense. But I think more importantly, what young studs kind of stood out for you guys on Saturday night. And without further ado, let's get into this one. I want to start on the offensive side of the football where, yeah, we kind of went into the 2024 season saying, I think Miami's going to lean on the running backs, the line of scrimmage play. And I think we will see them do that at some point during this season. But I think Shannon Dawson's a lot more concerned with what is the defense giving us? If they are going to walk a safety into the box, they are going to try to put extra bodies in the box to stop this Miami Hurricanes run game, something you didn't have last year, but you have this year. You have a prolific passing attack that can attack opposing defenses a lot of different ways. You look at every single elite offense across the country, they're two-dimensional, right? They have an identity maybe, but they can do a lot of different things. I think that's what you're seeing from Miami. So you're seeing teams walk safeties into the box. You're seeing them try to address that big physical offensive line in the running game. And if Shannon Dawson sees that, you brought in Cam Ward to go win an ACC championship and be a national championship contender. Like, go let him do that for this football team. That's exactly what they're letting him do. Now, I think there will be certain points where maybe teams want to approach Miami with two high safeties, try to prevent Miami from hitting explosive plays through the air. I would think Miami would probably lean on the run game a lot more in those kind of football games. I think Miami having that ability to do a lot of different things to attack opposing defenses based on what the defense is giving them, I think it's going to matter when you start going up against some better defenses later on in the 2024 season. Now, you continue to be really impressed with Cam Ward. Now, did he miss a few throws that maybe he should have made? Yeah, absolutely. Again, what I'm most uh, pleased with so far, and against the Florida A&M team, it can get easy to try to do too much, try to score on every single play that you have. Cam Ward continues to play within this Miami Hurricanes offense. Like, yes, he's going to extend plays. He's going to make some big time throws. What we wanted to see from Cam Ward is, yeah, we want to see you make those big time throws, but we also want to see you walk the line and not turn the football over. Outside of maybe one throw against Florida A&M last night, and then one throw against Florida, you've seen Cam Ward extend plays, make big time throws, but also not to put the ball in harm's way. I think that matters a lot. I think the other takeaway I have from the offensive side of the football, the tight ends getting involved. And look, we don't need to center the tight ends in this passing attack when you have guys like Xavier Restrepo and Horton and Sam Brown on the outside. But we do want to see these tight ends when they have opportunities be difference makers in the passing attack. We are starting to see that. Like Elijah Arroyo looks back to form post-injury or pre-injury, I should say. Riley Williams looks to be taking that step. I think this is an offense that could center the tight ends and quite frankly have a lot of success. Now, all the talent you have at the wide receiver position, you don't necessarily need to. It gives Shannon Dawson another element to attack opposing defenses. And something that we've seen throughout the first 2 weeks of the season is there are a lot of teams that want to stay in that nickel look. and kind of have two linebackers and five defensive backs on the field. If you have legitimate difference makers at the tight end position, you can run two tight end sets, run the football consistently against that nickel look, have a lot of success. And then when teams want to put three linebackers on the football field, that's when you attack them in the passing attack with the tight ends. And so I'm kind of interested to see if that's a development that we see a little bit later on for Miami in terms of, hey, if you want to put more linebackers on the field, you're going to have to figure out a way to deal with guys like Elijah Arroyo, Riley Williams, and I'd probably throw in Elijah Lofton as well. And so really impressed with the balance in how clean this Miami offense looks. I mean, you look at a lot of other really good teams across the country. Notre Dame lost at home to NIU. Oregon almost lost to Boise State, played an extremely sloppy game. Alabama almost lost at home to USF. Like, it's nice to see this Miami Hurricanes team have a week 2 game that could be a letdown game in a lot of different ways, right? Coming off a massive win against Florida, they had every reason to play sloppy football in this football game. They didn't. They came out on defense. We'll talk a little bit about what we saw, but on the offensive side of the football, they look great without their start. And that's another thing I'd note. Like Markel Bell and Matt McCoy, they had one little, I call it like a snafu in terms of pass protection and picking up a blitz, led to a sack. Outside of that, I thought Markel Bell looked pretty dang good. And he is overwhelming. Like when he gets hands on opposing defensive linemen, he just swallows them up. That dude is so big. And I think Markel Bell, look, at so many teams are looking for just one reliable starting tackle. I think Miami's got a couple guys that, they feel pretty good about in terms of the depth on the offensive line. Another good takeaway I had. I want to talk about the defense really quick. A couple blown coverages that no doubt Mario Cristobal is not happy about. And that was kind of the biggest concern. You didn't see, I don't think, any blown coverages against Florida week 1. Yeah, kind of a playmaking, difference-making quarterback in Richardson who was able to extend plays and kind of let his wide receivers create some space. You want to tighten that up. And we know there's going to be some growing pains. I'm happy the growing pains were against Florida A&M and not Florida in terms of that secondary. But on average, I think the secondary is going to just continue to get better as they gel a little bit more. You lost multi-year starters at the safety position in Kitchens and Williams last year. I've been pretty impressed with how they've had the ability to kind of get that secondary right. I think a large part of the secondary looking pretty good is just an elite pass rush. Tyler Barron, maybe one of the most underrated transfer portal additions in the country. He committed to Louisville from Tennessee, transferred out of Louisville after the spring. And I think that concerned a lot of people in terms of, hey, that only 3 months you're transferring again. Well, you go back to Tyler Barron in 2023. This dude was one of the best pass rushers in the SEC. He looks even better for Miami through 2 weeks. You look at this pass rush, it continues to impress you. Now, I want to get into some of the young cats that we saw that I thought really stood out. Let's start on the defensive side of the football. Cole McConaughey. He's a guy that was super productive coming from Alabama. Wasn't necessarily the most physically developed prospect, and I think that led to the 3-star ranking. But this kid's a really good football player, and you heard all the buzz throughout the offseason about this kid. I don't think he's going to get a ton of opportunity in the 2024 season because of how loaded you are on the defensive line, especially in the edge room. That being said, when he comes out on the field, he doesn't look like a true freshman. I mean, long speed to power, kind of walking tackles right into the back of quarterbacks. You've taken Justin Scott on the inside. Justin Scott's going to get ramped up, in my opinion, because he looks like a guy that can play year one. And I think Miami's going to want to do a really good job of keeping all those big bodies fresh on the inside of the defensive line. If Justin Scott can get to that point where you're really comfortable having him play 20, 25 snaps a game, which I think he can handle, I think that's a really big storyline. Cam Pruitt at the linebacker spot, nice pick. This is a kid that's really comfortable in space. Wesley Bassane and Kiko going to be a really good linebacker duo. You got some youngsters, most importantly, Bobby Pruitt, that I think are really good football players. And then on the offensive side of the football, Jordan Lyle. I don't know how much opportunity Jordan Lyle is going to get behind Damian Martinez and Mark Fletcher. I think he's the running back 3 right now. And, Chris Johnson is probably one of those more spacey, wouldn't say gadget guys, but a guy that you saw him get out of the backfield and go score a touchdown. You can use him in that ways. But if you're looking at that running back 3, if you were to go into a game with Damian Martinez or Mark Fletcher banged up and giving them a rest, I think Jordan Lyle's a freshman that you can probably go out and rely on. And so I think my overall takeaways after watching this football game back Sunday morning, one, the young talent's here for Miami. Like, this is a team that, yes, has star talent, but I think it's really deep as well. You're seeing that kind of like competition within the program. Like, if you want to get snaps for Miami, you got to be really damn good. That's kind of how Kirby Smart built Georgia. Like, if you want to play for Georgia, you're going to have to earn it and go through a lot of really good football players in practice. You're starting to see Miami kind of develop that depth of talent. They've had some playmakers. They've had some dudes over the last couple of years. I've never seen them this deep as a roster. I think that stands out. This offense is multidimensional, can attack a defense in a ton of different ways. And again, I think you still have one of the best pass rushes in the country, certainly the ACC. You're a Miami Hurricanes fan. Again, it's Florida A&M. This is what is supposed to happen. But it's nice to see Miami, at least in my opinion, kind of do what they were supposed to do and arguably do more than what they were able to do or supposed to do against Florida A&M. This team continues to roll. I think it's a top 10 team in the country, and I think they only get better. Wanted to hop on, give you guys some of my thoughts and opinions. Again, appreciate all the support. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.